Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Asjad bin Zainal Azira and my metric number 2020990993. So today we will be present about a topic related to sukuk, which is namely the concept and practice of sukuk ijarah in Malaysia. So before we go into further debate, let's look back at what a sukuk is. And according to my observation, there are many scholars who define sukuk ijarah in a various forms, in a various way. But sukuk, according to modern Islamic scholars today, is sometimes defined and termed as an Islamic bond. So sukuk is an Islamic financial certificate that takes the same concept as bonds in Western financial. And sukuk issued must comply with Islamic law known as Sharia. Alright, so we already know about what is a sukuk. So we're going to reveal about what the meaning of sukuk ijarah. So basically, sukuk ijarah is an Islamic financial instrument that can be traded and redeemed upon maturity. It is issued by identifying the underlying assets that can be traded for the success of this securitization, and the asset owner will lease the assets to an SPV, which is a company set up in order to manage the assets. So the rental flow between the two will be written and published by the SPV to attract investment from investor in the form of unbreakable unit ownerships. So earlier we discussed about what the meaning of sukuk, what the meaning of the sukuk ijarah. And now let's find out about the concept of Islamic muamalah in sukuk ijarah. So in modern sukuk ijarah, the concept of Islamic muamalah is used to create it, right? Among the concepts are the concept of securitization, the concept of ijarah, which is ijarah muntahiyah bitamlik, and ijarah thumma al-bay'. So that's the concept of Islamic muamalah in sukuk ijarah. And then we look at the terms of sukuk ijarah. So in sukuk ijarah, there are conditions that must be observed, right? The first is that the underlying lease contract must be in accordance with the Sharia principles, that for sure. Why did I say that? Because sukuk ijarah in terms of its contract, it's totally different than the conventional. And the second is that the lease asset should have benefits and uses that benefit its users, because the users and benefits of the assets will be the reason the users incurs a fee to rent the asset. And the third is it is still related to the lease asset. The asset use, that means the asset use must have characteristics that make their users in accordance with the Sharia. So we are going to talk about the concept of security then. Securitization means the process of converting something into cash in the form of documents that can be traded on the secondary market. In Arabic, it is termed as tawrik or taskik. It is the process of converting an assets-based financial instrument into cash by packaging it in the form of a certificate that distributing it for sale to investors. Also, it is the process of dividing the ownership of valuable assets and benefits into units of equal value into one certificate that can be traded among investors. So that's about the concept of security. So that's all from me. I'm going to pass this presentation to the next presenter. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. So I would like to continue the presentation from my group's member, which is for the Islamic capital market, the concept and practice of sukuk ijarah and securitization in Malaysia. Okay, before that, as the presenter for my groups, firstly I would like to introduce about myself. Okay, my name is Wan Muhammad Taufik bin Wan Muhammad Ramli, and my matric card number is 2020876609. And for information, what I want to highlight from this presentation, which is about the practice of sukuk ijarah in the Islamic capital market in Malaysia, and sukuk ijarah issue process in Malaysia. Okay, so let us look from the first slide. Okay, before we dive into the issue and the point and what I wanted to explain later, from this presentation, I would like to give a brief explanation the true meaning of the Sukuk Ijarah. As explained before, Sukuk Ijarah is an Islamic financial instrument that can be traded and redeemed when it reaches maturity. So it is issued by the identifying the underlying asset that can be traded for the success of this securitization. And the asset owner will list the asset to an SPV, which is a company set up to manage the asset. Okay, so we move to the concept of muamalah Islam in Sukuk Ijarah. So as we can see from this slide, in Sukuk Ijarah, which is a modern concept of muamalah, Islam is used to real estate. So among the concept as we can see, firstly is securitization, and next is the concept of ijarah, and the last is ijarah mutahiyah bin tamlik and ijarah tumal al-baik. Okay, next we move on the next slide, which is the main focus in this presentation, which is about the practice of Sukuk Ijarah in the Islamic capital market in Malaysia. So as we can see for the first point from this slide, which is about Sukuk Ijarah has been practiced in the Malaysian Islamic capital market since 2004 with a total issue of RM310 millions. And then for the principle of ijarah is used to structure Islamic bonds with the approach of the financial note program, which is commercial paper, and also a medium term financial note program as and also be known as the medium term notes. So that thus it can be clarified that through the DES2 program, the private sector can obtain fund and structure their debts, which is based on the practice of muamalah Islam. And moreover, with the existence of this Islamic bond insurance program as well, then for the Islamic investor who are the obedient to the government can be invest in Islamic capital market investment compared to the conventional investment. Okay, for the next slide is the second of one I want to highlight from this presentation, which is about Sukuk Ijarah issues process in Malaysia. Okay, for information, as a company wishing to publish Sukuk in Malaysia, need to refer and apply to the Securities Commission for approval to issue Sukuk. So therefore, for the purpose of insurance, the Securities Commission has been issues guideline for the insurance of Islamic securities. So as we can see for this slide, which is about the guideline have been given from issuance of Islamic securities. Okay, firstly, as we can see, is comply with the Securities Act, which is to the issues of introduce of Sukuk. The issuer must be comply with the section 32 of the Securities Act in 1993, and also comply with the guidelines issues by the Securities Commission, which is for the example among them is that issues must be submit and practice the Sharia principle approval by the Securities Commission, which is in each is of their application to issue Islamic securities of Sukuk. And meanwhile, for the insurance approval, Sukuk insurance proposal must be submitted by commercial bank and the merchants bank. Okay, So the next guideline have been given, which is about prepare document and proposal. Okay, for the ones of the issuers understands the guideline and law relate to the issuers of Islamic securities or Sukuk. The issuers need to prepare the document which is for approval. So among the document that need be submit, firstly is company information and issue structure, which is the money information have be given, which is publishers, company information and board member profile, the section and transaction and structure of the security to be issued, use of fully issues, funds, curtain approval from Syariah advisor and many more. And next document is term and condition of the proposal, which is the main of term of condition must be written in the name of party involved in the proposal transaction, which is the parties are the originator, the principal dealer, the financial coordinator, the lawyer, the financial advisor, the technical advisor, the guarantor, and the name of the agent who manage of the facility. Okay, and the last of a document as we can see is information sent after pre-oval of the Secretaries Commission. Okay, for the approval of the single issues, the publisher must be submit information which is on the side of the issue and the same method of issue through tender or over the counter sale of through the fast system. Okay, I think that's all from my presentation, and I would like to pass to another group member, which is to continue their presentation. I think that's all. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Rasulullah bin Nasir, metric number 2020950767. So I will continue presentation from my friend. So I will present about the Sharia issues in Sukuk Ijarah. Actually, many Sharia issues in Sukuk Ijarah, but for this video, I will present a few only. First issues is ownership of Ijarah asset take place in a contract Ijarah Muntahiyah Bitamlik. There are a lot of investors want to know how transfer of ownership of Ijarah asset take place in a contract Ijarah Muntahiyah Bitamlik. So, mechanism of Ijarah Muntahiyah Bitamlik is related to financial leases. It is a Sharia principle that begin with a contract lease and end with the transfer of the ownership of the Ijarah asset to the tenant on the end of the rental period, either through a sale and purchase transaction or a grant. Then transfer of ownership of Ijarah asset in Ijarah contract Muntahiyah Bitamlik can occur through one of the following method. First method is what to sell Ijarah asset in the future. Sale and purchase contract shall be sold separately after the expiry of the lease. The second method is what to grant Ijarah asset in the future. This contract can be done during or after the expiration of the rental period and shall enter into a new contract separately. And the last method can follow. A grant contract provide the tenant complete the whole rental payment installment. The grant contract can be entered into on that date, similar to a lease contract but using an agreement document, a separate one. The transfer of ownership will take place automatically when the condition stipulated in the hibah contract are met. Another Sharia issues in Sukuk Ijarah is determination of rental rate based on fixed rate or floating rate in Sukuk Ijarah. Usually, the rental rate of an asset is set based on the rate fixed. However, rental rate based on floating rate may be used where rental rate sometimes change after a certain period of the time as agreed by both contracting parties. So, in this context, the question arises as to whether the matter is permitted by Sharia or cannot be used in Sukuk. So, the Sharia Advisory Council has decided that the rental payment is based on a fixed rate or rate floating based on agreement between the two contracting parties is allowed. Then, for the determination of benchmark of Sukuk, uh, there is no obstacle from the Sharia point of view to refer to any appropriate benchmark for the determining floating rental rate for floating rate Ijarah Sukuk. So I will pass this presentation to my friend. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hamka bin Hayat, and I will continue the presentation about issue in Sukuk Al-Ijarah. Good. Okay, the next issue is about stamp duty. In Malaysia, stamp duty exemption is given for the issuance of Sukuk Al-Ijarah, where it is equivalent to the facility provided for the issuance of conventional bonds. This matter is stated in the stamp duty exemption number 23 order 2000, which provides stamp duty exemption on all instruments relating to the issuance of Islamic securities. Okay, now stamp duty was provided in Al-Ijarah, in Sukuk Al-Ijarah. So for the investor who have problem in Sukuk Al-Ijarah, they can state this stamp duty for discussion in the court. Okay, next is about income tax. Tax deduction is given to Sukuk issues who issue Sukuk based on Syariah principles under the concept of Mudarabah, Musyarakah, Ijarah and Istisna. Tax deduction is given on expenses incurred in respect of the issuance of Islamic securities approved by the Securities Commission from the year of assessment 2008 to the year of assessment 2010 under the principles of Mudarabah, Musyarakah, Ijarah and Istisna, or other principles based on Syariah principles approved by the Minister of Finance. Okay, tax exemption is given to local SPV in Malaysia on income derived from the issuance of Islamic securities or other source of income during the period effective from the year of assessment 2007. Okay, for the conclusion from this topic is Sukuk Ijarah in Malaysia is so unique because almost every Islamic rental principle has been practiced in the Islamic capital market involving the government, agencies and the private sector. Nevertheless, Sukuk Ijarah is exposed to operational market risk, Sharia non-compliance and foreign exchange risk. Therefore, investor, banks and securities commission need to reduce risk and develop principles in order to remain competitive in the global markets. Okay, I think that's only from me and my friends. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.